Welcome to Law Excellence Hindu News Analysis. Today we are going to cover these topics that are appeared in the Hindu newspaper. Now we will come to the first article. Now this article is saying that ties with neighbors are sustained by the trade projects said by the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. Now what is the context of the news? Now winter sessions are happening. In this winter session, opposition MPs are questioning the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar about the India's relations with neighbors. Now why they are asking? You know that India's neighbors are in a political and economic turmoil. For example, you know that Sri Lanka has been faced economic turmoil until recent times. Now there is a political stability that came after the elections happened in Sri Lanka. Now if you know in Myanmar there is military coup happened. There are a lot of human rights violations are happening. In Bangladesh, there is continued violence against minorities and a lot of political instability is there. Now in Nepal also, that Nepal Prime Minister, after coming to the power, he visited, first a bilateral visit to the China. Now this is against the India's interest. And also in this article, it is clearly mentioned that, PM of the Nepal signed off this Belt and Road Initiative, right? Now, when things like this are happening, now the opposition MPs are questioning that in the question hour. Now, what is the present status of India's relation with its neighbors? Now, what's going on? Now, this is what the context of the news, right? Now, another important thing mentioned in this article is the opposition MPs are questioning that India is having, non-reciprocal helping to the neighbors as a part of India's neighborhood first policy, right? We have neighborhood first policy. Now, opposition MPs questioning that, okay, that India have neighborhood first policies, but how many of these neighbors have that India first policy? Now, this is a good question. You can use this in JS paper too, right? How many of these countries or how many of these neighbors have India first policy? Whether India is a priority or not for them? These are the questions that are raised by the opposition MPs. Okay. Now, as a reply, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said that though there are political turmoils are happening, economic repercussions are happening, India is in continuous dialogue and engagement with all the neighbors. This is the first thing that he was said. Right. Another important thing is that he said that though there are political commentaries that have happened, remember that, for example, in Maldives, it has been said that the present government came to the power on the basis of India Out campaign. Now, you know that the controversy between India and Maldives, right? But still, Prime Minister during his recent swearing-in ceremony invited the President of Maldives. He presented the Prime Minister's swearing-in ceremony. And not only that, the project between India and Maldives, that is India inaugurated Adu Link project and another reclamation project. That means in a reply, Jaishankar said that though there are political, instabilities or political disturbances are there, certain level, economic projects and trade are in continuous engagement. This indicates the economic integration of the region, right? Not only here, even in the Myanmar Janata coup also, India was in continuous engagement regarding the political stability and preventing the violations, especially human rights violations, because Myanmar is with neighborhood of India's 4 northeastern states and things like that. Okay. And another important thing raised by the opposition in that, because of the increasing turmoil in the neighborhood countries and also issues of stalling projects. For example, India's private sector projects in other countries were stalled. Especially recently, comments by the allegations of corruption by the Indian corporates in the US. That the recently Adani issue was there, right? In this context, again questions were raised. Now, again in reply, Jaishankar said that remember this point. This can be used in JS answer. That is, our neighbors also have their own internal politics. Okay, we should not score a punch power. That is, he said that we should accordingly take decisions. That means their political considerations also we need to consider. Accordingly, they play their own diplomatic game and things like that. And that is what he said, that every neighbor has their own politics, internal politics. They will play according to their strategic interest. Now, every country have their own strategic interest. Now, that is what reply, Jaishankar said. Now, these points like whether India first policy is there for the neighbors or not. And these projects like Adu Link and reclamation projects, economic integration, and every neighbor has their own internal politics and things like that. You can use this in JS paper to international relations, especially questions such as in GS paper 2, there is called India and its neighborhood as a syllabus topic. So India neighborhood questions are asking frequently also. Now, a strong, stable neighborhood is important for as a buffer state, so that there is no spillover effect of any internal disturbance into India also. In that way, you can use these points also, right? Now we will move to the next article. Now this article is saying that wounding the spirit of Constitution of India, right? Now you know that the spirit of Constitution of India or the fundamental values of Constitution of India are enumerated in the preamble, right? In preamble, it is been said that we, the people of India, solemnly resolve, to give ourselves this Constitution and ensure that people will get that justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, and we constitute our polity in terms of that democratic, republic, socialist, secular, and integrity. Right now, these are the things. Now, the author is saying that the author is saying in the context of that, that recently there is a controversy happened in which in the Allahabad court premises there is an event happened that is conducted by the RSS, that is Vishwa Hindu Parishad event. Now, in this event, a judge was invited. This Allahabad High Court judge presented there and given a speech. In his speech, he given some disregarded words, especially regarding religious minorities, in the context of mentioning UCC and animal slaughtering and things like that, especially regarding Muslim minority community. So in this context, the author is saying that by being in the position of power, by being in the seat of power, by being in the seat of justice, when words are emanating from these positions, it is really disregarding the India's diversity, India's constitutional values, especially constitutional morality. Why? When a person in that position said, it not only disregards the person himself, rather it means disregarding the institution the person is holding. For example, he is being judge of the High Court, right? So if at all the judge is giving words like that, it means it reduces the credibility and public trust on the institution. Let's say if that particular judge is next time any hearing any petition or any judgment or giving any verdict, people won't believe that person, because already there is a lot of doubt happened because of his divisive, socially divisive and culturally divisive comments of that. Hence it reduces the credibility of the judges also, right? And next, this author is saying that distancing ourselves would be a disservice. Now what does it mean? Now it is being said that it is our collective responsibility or collective concern that we need to condemn these type of comments, even it is from the judiciary, right? Now hence who will we need to condemn? It is not only the judges. Now the lawyers union already complained against this judge, and not only the lawyer, it is the people, activists, everyone has to condemn this. Otherwise it is disservice to the country as a citizen, disservice to the constitution. Now this is what mentioned in this article. Another important question raised, first of all, an event like that, because it is an event that is related to the one identity of a group. Now why such events was allowed in a secular place like a court? Now this is what one of the question raised. Another important thing is that now as it is an event of right-wing associations, there can be support of political masters. Presently, that in parliament, the government has majority. Now presently an impeachment motion was passed in the parliament regarding this removal of this high court judge by the opposition party. Now it is being said that if political masters are supporting this judge, then this is disregarding the constitution itself. Hence, we need a collective accountability of judges. Judges themselves has to criticize and condemn these comments and must need to take certain actions. Otherwise, what the author is saying that it will incite the violence from other people. It will justify the violence from other people also, right? Next important thing is that author is saying it is the judges that are responsible for interpreting the constitutions as per the needs of the people, as per the needs of the evolution of the contemporary society, right? Hence, they are only responsible for interpretation. It is not the constitution is of the judges. Constitution is of the people. Okay, even if judges are doing something wrong, it is the people like us, that is we. We in the preamble has given the constitution. Now, in prelims, the questions asking about what is the source of the constitution. The source of the constitution, it is the people. That means that constitution belongs to people. We as a people given the constitution towards to ensure certain democratic, secular, republic polity and given to also social, economic, and justice. Right. So if judges are doing something wrong, it is our responsibility to ensure that we have to condemn such comments. That is what the author is saying. Hence, by the comments of this judge, we in the preamble can be disappeared. It is not followed, it is not upholded, because we involves a lot of inclusiveness, right? A lot of cultural diversity. Because of his comments, it is like a majoritarianism and minoritarianism, like excluding some people socially, things like that. Now these are all the things that are the arguments mentioned in this article. Now, from the examination perspective, where you can use this article. See, in GS paper 1, there is an issue of religious minorities, communalism, things like that. There also you can use these comments. Even you can say that even the persons who are in the power or positions of power or holding positions of justice are emanating comments like this. You can say like that in communalism questions or any issues regarding the secularism and things like that in JS paper 1. Even in the JS paper 2, questions are repeatedly asking regarding secularism. And in the SR Bommai case, you know that secularism is being treated as a basic feature of the constitution. This was said in the SR Bommai judgment, right? And next thing, any criticism regarding the judiciary, you can give also this as an example. Even in the GS paper 4, clearly given that concepts like non-partisanship, impartiality, objectivity as a syllabus topics. In there also, you can use these comments of Allahabad High Court judge as an example, against not partisanship and non-partisanship and showing impartiality and things like that. Even in the probity also you can use. What is meant by probity in JS paper 4? See, probity means it is an expected behavior from a particular person that upholds the highest values of that particular position, right? So that it means a socially expected behavior from a particular person, right? Now behaving like that, for example, even before also there is one person called election commissioner doing something wrong in Chandigarh elections like that. Okay, it means this is behavior is against the probity. Whether something wrong is happened or not is a secondary thing. The behavior itself is against the probity of that particular position, right? So in this way, you can use one news article into multiple syllabus topics. Now this way, you have to integrate the news article smartly into the multiple syllabus topic. Okay. Now we will move to the next article. Now this article is saying that Andhra Pradesh all set to get skill tag. Now what is the context of the news? The context of the news is that recently periodic labor force survey report highlighted that Andhra Pradesh has one of the highest unemployment rate. So in this context, they are considered that to improve the employment in the state, they want to do this skill census. Okay, skill census. Now what does that mean? Now in the skill census, they want to ascertain and classify and categorize the various types of skills that are available with the youth and what are the skill gap that is there. For example, that industry may demand certain type of skills that skills may not have to the students. They may have right education, but they do not have adequate experience. So if at all needed, they want to devise a programs for upskilling them or providing new skills and things like that. So that they want to make sure that the policy is data driven. So data driven policy making. So the skill census involve a lot of things. For example, ascertaining and categorizing the students, youth especially. And not only that, this also involves survey of industries. Now what is their demand? Accordingly, they will devise a policy. Now in this article, it is being said that this is the first of its kind. Skill census has not been done by any state in India, even at the national level also. Now in this context, this article is first of all relevant from the examination perspective. Try to link this to the syllabus, especially in GS paper 2 and GS paper 3, because in both the papers, questions related to the employment is being asking year after year recurringly. For example, if you see the GS paper 2 question, the question is saying that this is a PYQ. Skill development programs have succeeded in increasing human resource supply to the various sectors. In this context of the statement, analyze the linkages between education, skill, and employment. Hence, regarding skill is very important. And skill census, why it is important is very, that in India, yearly a lot of people are graduating. Even Chief Economic Advisor recently, Anand Nagar, also said that 51% of the graduates in India are unemployable. They are less employable. Not only that, other important thing is that it has been said that only around 25% of the youth in India are skilled in the form of either formally or informally. Formal skilling is just 4% in India. Another important reason is that 90% of the workforce in India are in the informal sector, and skilling them is very important, right? Another important thing is majority of the youth are engaged in less wages, hence they have less savings. The consumption capacity is also less, consumption expenditure. Now, another important factor that is requirement of skill census is that new skills are being demanded. Diverse skill portfolio is also being demanded by the companies, especially in the context of technological advancements such as cyber security, artificial intelligence, cloud computing. In this context, now the requirement of skills is also being evolving. Hence, this has to be in line with the training programs of the government also, right? Skill mismatch. That is, the kind of degrees that are providing, the kind of syllabus that is there in the colleges is also been mismatched with the industrial requirements also, right after graduation students are not able to get employment and things like that. So there is a lot of skill mismatch between the academics and industries also. This also enable the collaboration between the academics and industries also, right? Increasing graduation every year, a lot of students are being graduating. Now it is said that in India as well, in this context in Andhra Pradesh also, it is being said that in Andhra Pradesh around 4 lakh students are graduating. Andhra Pradesh itself, 1 lakh students are dropping out of college in search of employment and things like that. So these are the requirements for ensuring the skill census. Okay, if any questions comes regarding the employment, in the GS paper 2 regarding human resource or GS paper 3, you can use the skill census of Andhra Pradesh because this is a pilot project already be conducted in certain districts of Andhra Pradesh. It is being said that by the time of January 2025, Andhra Pradesh is going to conduct a full-fledged skill census by going door-to-door survey. Okay. Now this is the context of the news. Okay. Try to use the skill census as a case study or a best practice in your answers. Okay. Now we will move to the next article. Now this article is saying that the naughty promise of section 69 of BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Now what is the context of the news? Now the increasing number of cases and FIRs are filing under the section 69 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Now what is this section 69? Now it is being said that this section 69 criminalizes the person who betrayed the woman by having sexual contact on the name of or on the promise of marrying them later times. Now this also includes not just marriage, it also includes promise of job, promotion by being in a superior position. Right? In this way, no one can exploit women. Now this is what the section is saying. Now the author is saying that there are a lot of cases are increasing number of cases are filing. In this, the problem other said that there are certain issues with this section also. First and foremost thing that certain people may involve into the relation. After some time they may have some issues or opinion differences, or they may are fighting with each other. As a response or vengeance or revenge, they may complain give the complaint or FIR under section 69. So whether promise or not, no one knows, because sometimes they may not be involved in any promise of marriage, just because of the consensual or relation they may have sexual contact, a sexual intercourse. So whether promised or not, no one can prove. It's a really difficult thing. That's one of the issues. Second thing, how to investigate the intent. Now in this article it has been mentioned that in one of the judgment by the court it has been said that if the intent is right, we should not punish that person. Now intent is that the person really had the intent of marrying at that moment, because circumstances are changing. Now how to investigate this intent is a really difficult thing. Okay, this is the first thing. Next, rising living relations, rising modern form of interactions and relations are increasing. Now in this context, cases of these types may be increased, hence blindly repressing them is a very aggressive policy. That is what the one of the complaint or limitation of this. It is an aggressive provision. This involves fine and 10 years jail. Right? This is a very aggressive because it's a social and cultural issue, especially regarding this. Next, change in circumstances. What is meant by this? Now in certain circumstances, two people involved in the relations, based on the circumstances, they may promise each other that they marry. No, due to the changes in the circumstances and situations, they may have a lot of problems. In that process, they may have to set apart, right? This may be misused by the woman to file the fake complaints and things like that are happening. Okay, that is what mentioned in this article. Another important thing, gender discrimination. Now, this section 69 is presumed that woman is always betrayed by the woman. That means this author is saying that there can be another way around also. That is, men also can be betrayed by the woman. Even women may deny the marriage after having sexual intercourse, but there is no chance of filing such cases like that. No, that is one of the gender discrimination. Because gender equality involves equality to the men also, right? Gender equality is always thinking about the woman. Hence, the law is biased and things like that. This is what author is saying. Gender equality means equality of the equal treatment of the men with the women also, right? Another important thing is lack of inclusiveness. What does it mean? It not included transgenders, right? There are issues of these marriages are happening in the transgenders also. Certain people are misguiding the transgender people and using them for the sexual exploitation on the name of, on the guise of promising marriage or promising job and promotion, economic advantages and things like that. That is also one of the issue of this section, as it not included transgenders. Next important thing is that cultural and familial issue. Now that's why this author is saying that this section 69 is not just a legal issue but also social and cultural issue, because it has been said that people involving and having given promise at the college level, they may have interest of marrying each other but parents are not accepting, and it's a social issue. That is what it mentioned in this article. Next important thing is longevity. What does it mean? See, it is being said that people involved in the relation are spending time for 5 to 6 years, or in this case, in one of the example in this article mentioned, they are together for 9 years. Now, after being in 9 years, now they are filing complaint towards each other, and it is really difficult to investigate the issues of the thing that have happened 5 or 6 years back. Promise. These are the things that are mentioned in this article, right? Now, why this article is relevant? In GS paper 1, marriage as a theme is important because it is been asking every 1 or 2 years, right? Now, this was asked in 2023 mains itself. See, do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? Whether it is losing its value in modern India, that is what this question is saying. In India, we consider marriage as a sacred thing, right? We used to have a lot of pujas and a lot of yagnas and homas and things like that. Okay. And not only that, there are a lot of rituals. Even you know that there are poor people also. Even they will take some debt and do marriage of the children and things like that. Hence, marriage is a lot of sacred thing. A lot of religious rituals also involved. Now, when there are nowadays there is increasing divorce rates, increasing living relations, and the issues of things like that of Section 69, misusing of Section 69. Okay, and not only that, even if you see recently there is a case happened with Atul Subhas in a techie from Bengaluru person who taken suicide and by saying that his wife and in-laws are responsible because of their exploiting him and abusing him and things like that. Okay, now in this context, Section 69 is very important. Because of these things, marriage as agreement is been in doubt that whether it is losing value or not. And gender equality is always been biased towards women, because discrimination is happening also with men. Now in this context, the Atul Subhash also mentioned this thing in his recent suicide video, right? Now in this way, this article is very important. You can mention the Section 69 as an example in your GS1 answers. Okay, now we'll move to the next article. Okay, now this article is saying that Trump's return and the South Asia outlook. Now, what is the context of the news? Now, you know that recently in January 2025, Donald Trump, sworn in as the 47th president of the USA. Now, in this context, a lot of geopolitical shifts happened. Now, there because of which, it is being said that there are certain challenges, certain opportunities, especially in diplomatically towards the countries. And in this context, author also mentioned that what are the challenges and opportunities for South Asia, especially from the context of India and USA, right? Now, the first and foremost thing the author mentioned is that, countering what are the opportunities, if you consider opportunities. Now, the author is also saying that India and US relations are seeing an upward trajectory, right? India and US having a strategic relations also. Now, first and foremost thing, authors mention certain, opportunities, right? Now, before discussing opportunities, how this article is relevant. Now, this article is relevant now directly syllabus topic in the GS paper to international relations. Now, if you see the here it is mentioned that effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interests. Yes, it is USA is a developed country. Now policies and politics of USA will affect India also, right? Now this is what the thing. That's why we have to discuss the impact of new president in the USA. Now the author is saying that first and foremost opportunity is countering China. Right now, India has a lot of advantageous position in terms of economically and in terms of infrastructure development also, right, in the region. So, and there are political and ideological differences between China and USA. Now, to counter China, India need to use, to counter China, USA using India in the region, especially in the South Asia region. Now, India also having, a negative relations with regard to China also, right? Hence, this is an opportunity, right? This is one thing. Next, muting Pakistan. Now, to counter China, a strong India is required. No, strong India means it is muting Pakistan, right? USA has a passive relations with Pakistan, not active relations, especially in the context of withdrawing from the Afghanistan, right? Hence, it has a passive relation with Afghanistan, right? Another important thing, supplementing leadership. Now, USA said that India is a net security provider for the Indian Ocean region. It also accepted. Hence, it is being said that USA want to supplement the leadership that is already provided by the India to ensure that it has a level playing field with China in countering China, especially China's infrastructure projects. For example, Hambantota in Sri Lanka, right? And Kyapuku Fort in Myanmar, and things like the String of Pearls policy and all these things, right? Next, value-based order. What does it mean? Now, the author is saying that US has a common policies towards Indo-Pacific region, especially regarding the rules-based order and value-based order and free navigation in the region, things like that. Hence, this is one of the opportunity to promote that thing in the region. Next, promise of ending the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, this is also helpful for South Asian region, especially for India. Now, you know that recently in India there is a lot of inflation, especially food and fuel inflation. Why? Because the region surrounding or around the areas of Russia and Ukraine are the major exporters of the right, which is one of the stable right. Now, because of these disruptions and their food prices are increased and fuel prices are also increasing because of the war. Because most of the oil is also being exported from the West Asian and Eurasian countries. Another important opportunity is that combating terrorism. Now, USA is also committed to combating terrorism. Hence, India and US also have common interest, to combat terrorists, right? And not only that, it is also said that there is a strategic cooperation and partnership. For example, that strategically we have the cooperation regarding the Quad security dialogue. This can be useful in countering China, and this also aligned with India's interest in the Indo-Pacific region, right? Now, not only that, in strategic interest also involves signing foundation agreements. We have already signed the agreement like BECA, which is very important because it helps in enabling the sharing of geospatial intelligence with India. right? That is strategic energy cooperation. What does it mean? Now India is more dependent on the energy requirements, especially 85% of India's crude oil requirement is being imported. Now hence it is energy dependent on other countries, especially West Asian region. Now recently, because of the turmoil in the West Asian region, now India shifted to the Russia. Now India is importing from Russia majority of the oil, right? Now USA is also one of the major supply. For example, under Trump, you know that US crude oil exports to India increased from 2.5 million barrels in 2017 to 19 million barrels in 2020 under Trump administration. Hence, India can diversify its energy portfolio also. Hence, it is an energy corporation. Now, these are what the opportunities mentioned by the author. But author also mentions certain challenges. Okay, we will see that. What can be the challenges? Now, the author is saying that Trump always takes the confrontational approach. He is the man of walking the talk. So he wants to take a strong stance on the any country such as China, but India is not like that. India is a country that maintains the middleman strategy. What does it mean? For example, in recently also External Affairs Minister said that if India is aligning to the US, it doesn't mean that it is anti-China. Statements like that. It is against the ideas and attitude of Mr. Trump, right? Next important thing, less committed towards agreement. What does it mean? Now it is being said that Trump is less committed toward the agreements like Paris agreements and UN and multilateral institutions and things like that. Now this is against the India's interest of multilateralism, right? Now next, sanctions on Myanmar and Bangladesh. Now it is being said that India is strategically having continuous engagement with the Myanmar military group and also the changing reasons of Bangladesh to ensure cooperation. But it is being said that USA is against the these things because USA already imposed sanctions on the Myanmar and Bangladesh. This lead to Myanmar and Bangladesh moving closer to the China. Again, this is against India's interest. Next, allegations of religious rights violation. Now it is being said that an institution in USA said that India is a country of particular concern because a lot of human rights violations are happening in India, especially regarding the religious minorities like Muslims. And not only that, USA is now framing a policy to bring up a national strategy, to counter Islamophobia. Okay, again, this is ideologically, against India, right? India Russia. Now India is moving more close towards Russia. Now to control India's Russia relations, now USA may tap the Pakistan as a strategy. Now this is another challenge in the region. Now next important thing is protectionist policy of Trump. Now Trump is following a policy of America first policy. Now in this context, he also commented that once China is a tariff king, and after China it is the India that is the tariff king. Now in these comments, and not only because of the context, because the context is that India has a trade surplus with USA. USA has a trade deficit with India. Now this is what one of the context why he called like that. Now these are the challenges. Now India has to maintain the balancing act in this context. Okay, this is what the things. Now you can use these points as a keywords in your answer, especially regarding the GS paper 2 answers. Okay, now that's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.